Have you heard of Block by Block recently, or was that a thing that you knew a few years ago?
It was actually during the pandemic. A friend of mine introduced me to some of the representatives here. I was asked to do an interview on mental health, and that's how I came to know about DEEP and some of the programs that they offer in Savannah.
When you came to Block by Block and you had your session with the youth, what did you guys actually do?
We talked about mental health and the importance of being able to survive the pandemic, as well as finding ways to cope with some of the isolation, the social distancing, and make sure that we're able to have that resilience, especially during the mental health aspect of it.
Definitely. I feel like the youth definitely appreciated that. Was there anything that you wanted them to take away from the session, like any lessons?
I think, to me, the important part of mental health is being able to have that behavioral, psychosocial, and that cognitive ability to outlast the pandemic. And some of the takeaways I hope that they were able to receive from it is that you have to make sure that you provide self-care to you in order to be able to find ways to socialize and care for others. And the social component was very important because we all were having to be mandated to social distance, stay in your home, be mindful about places you go. And so I think that that internal component is something that I wanted them to be able to take away from, that self-care.
Those who needed help are turned away, thrown to the wayside, not able to stay. Put yourself in their shoes. They just need help. Longing to the very end, but they can't yelp. For assistance and relief, you see, but we are blind to come and set them free. It only matters when it affects us. Our actions then reciprocated, that's tough. The golden rule now not in effect. The same service you ignored, you now expect.
My last question for you is, what is health to you? Is it something individualized? Is it something that should be talked about in groups, or is it just completely different from person to person?
I think for a lot of individuals and being in the field, that health or mental health is balance. You know, when you deal with the psychological aspect, when you deal with the emotional aspect, as well as the behavioral aspect, once all of those components are working in sync, then you have balance, you have good mental health. But I believe that if you have a dysfunction or you're lacking emotionally, then that kind of throws off the balance. It's like a three-wheeler. You know, once one wheel is augmented or has a dysfunction, how can you really ride it? How can it be smooth? And so once those things are out of balance or, you know, not in sync, then there's a problem, there's a struggle. And I think that health in all applies to everyone. And I think it's the same for everybody, just the overall aspect. But when you're talking about individually, what may work for one person may not necessarily work for another. Just like certain coping skills. There are some coping skills of deep breathing and muscle relaxation and meditation that may work for one, when something that is more somatic may work for another, such as running, jogging, interacting with friends, having that social ability. And so I think that the totality of it, that mental health, that we all have to be able to socialize. We all have certain needs that have to be met. And that is where it becomes more individualized. And so I think that for me, mental health is complete balance, where your mind, body, and your spirit is all aligned in order for you to be able to face the world, have positive engagement. And once that may be thwarted, then, you know, some individuals may want to seek help or counseling or some type of, you know, support in that aspect.
Twin cats, dappled gray like that distant storm front, make their dainty little way through an abundantly overgrown excess of sunset tomato sprouts and delicate gourd blooms. I love to plant, but I hate to weed. I don't want to dig up the roots. I just want to feel the breeze and bury the sun rays, watch the birds wiggle their little tails, soak up the cloud trails. What a lovely day to sit back, watch the ants make their little trails. What a lovely day to feel the dirt under my fingernails, hear the bees. What a lovely day to be here.
Every time I open my eyes, I have to wonder if I was sleeping or meditating, because I'm not doing either one very well. I often wish that I could astral project so my soul could have the benefit of temporarily leaving this shell. Because the world outside isn't welcoming. We're steady fighting for equality, but little did we know what has entered the Chet's lack of equity. But then, out of the woodworks, I got an email to join Block by Block. And right then, I knew that it would make the madness stop. Because now I'm forced to write again. Make the people feel like they have someone who will listen. And something that I get from these sessions is the fact that we're on a never-ending mission. We want to create a better community. Something that'll succeed the likes of you and me. We want our descendants to have a chance to just be without being in fear of what might happen if they decide to cross the street. We want our descendants to not have to worry about things like health and equity. Two conflicting views with a similar duality, but they will never settle to be one within this capitalist country. Dealing with rising COVID cases, steady losing familiar faces. Equity is a joke, full of false hope, and my rights are slipping away from me. But I don't want to think like that. That's why I'm glad that Block by Block had my back, because they make me have faith that we can make a difference. So here, I will stay to one and hope that the universe will listen. What I want from Block by Block this year is a better mentality, more serenity. And even if it's just a tiny piece of seephole, I want to see the results from our bettering of humanity. Even if, no matter the odds, no matter if the elders think that we're just a generation that's tossed or we'll forever be lost, but little do they know, we'll be the ones to show the higher ups who's really boss. Because I've said it before and I will say it again. We will not stand down, be gone, or stay gone without making a sound. And it'll start from our writing. Our poetry will be our fists more fighting, sharp enunciation of the tongue like a dog when it's biting, but we won't let go. We'll keep a grip on society's status quo, so not only will we remember where we came from, but know that we have something new to grow.
Boy Scouts have been practicing their skills on me again, starting fires in my heart and leaving them there to burn until the sparks die out. And with them, I have died out. And so my mother wraps a warm blanket around my shoulders. She kisses the crinkles in my forehead and wipes the tears that have flushed my face, reminding me that no one is worth the pain. Because one day someone will love and appreciate me for who I am. But until then, I spend my lonely weekends with her. I brush the hair from her face, my fingers linger to the silver that peeks through the shadows. I kiss the few wrinkles she has on her skin from all the worry that has built up. And I thank her for all she's done to take care of me.
So my name is Mykesha. I am the dance artist / choreographer for this year. And for the past few years as well.
Yeah, you've been with us for a couple years.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
All right, so my first question is, when you heard that our theme for this year was health, how did you approach the movement workshops that you did with us?
So I wanted to kind of start off like every other year. I wanted to do our first session kind of getting to know the youth, knowing where they are in their movement as well as where they are just in the year in general. So I kind of wanted them to be open to the idea of dance not only being ballet or hip hop or jazz, but more so just movement, your everyday pedestrian movement. And I thought that tied well into the theme for this year for health, because as you know, physical health, you run, you walk, you breathe. Mental health, same thing. And I just wanted to find a way to connect the art form of dance with movement in general, with health.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Them old mistakes are gone, I won't do them no more. That's old news, that's new news, I done did that before. I turn nothing to something, my comeback on 100. Let's talk it, more action, you just gon' see coming. I just keep elevating, no losses, just upgrading. My lessons made blessings, I turn that into money. They gotta never settle, This view is so much better. I'm chilling, I'm winning, like on another level. Oh, you can talk all you want. See me, I see prayed up, nothing I'm afraid of, and I can have it all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Fake friends get dropped like weight. Team love don't want no hate. I'm grinding, I'm shining, up, I'm on my way. Thank God I never settle. This view is so much better. I'm chilling, I'm winning, like on another level. Oh, you can talk all you want. See me, I see prayed up, nothing I'm afraid of, and I can have it all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. All this sauce so level, on another level. Elevate your level, level. Graduate your level, there's no one on it. Nah, nah, nah. Eh. All this sauce so level, on another level. Elevate your level, level. Graduate your level, there's no one on it. Nah, nah, nah. Eh. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy.
Can you talk about kind of like why you chose that song and what the dance represents?
So for that dance, that was for the physical health theme. So of course I wanted something kind of upbeat. I had in my mind of like an old school like aerobics kind of class. So I wanted it to feel like that. I wanted it to just feel like a fun, energetic workout, and I thought that that song was just perfect for it. It's talking about leveling up, and we can apply that in so many different ways, not just physical health, but mental, spiritual, community health. We can apply that for all of it. So I just thought it was a great tie-in.
Yeah, nice. What do you hope the young people got from your sessions when they think about the Zoom workshops, the dance workshops, even in person? What is the little nugget of knowledge that you hope that they carry with them?
I hope that they carry that dance can be anything. I want them to know that it literally can be anything they want it to be. I don't ever want anybody to feel like dance is intimidating or it's something that you can't do because you've never done it or you haven't been trained. Dance is for everybody. If you can breathe, blink, and walk, you can dance.
One could argue that society is and it isn't. One could argue that it leaves people behind. One could argue that there are people who will pick you up. And one could argue that there are people who will drop you at the speed of a dime. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know your attitude, and I don't know your situation. I don't even know if the things that they say on news are true. But what I can offer is my point of view. What does mental health mean to you? Because too often we focus on the emotional part. But mental health isn't just emotional. It's your way of thinking as a whole. I think we are all sick mentally in one way or another. Procrastination, sick. Laziness, sick. Hypocrisy, sick. And me calling the common issues that we deal with in everyday life are not comparable to the major issues on the emotional side. Depression. Even though I cannot relate to you or the people who have these issues, I was always taught that there is a way out. And as the road to recovery and life are not fair, they differ in length and complexity. All I can say is that at the end of your journey, which you can take it with friends or you can even take it alone, you better be ready to put all the weight on your shoulders. Because if the road to your recovery ends with you not having strength, what would it all be for?
Keisha, first, could you give me an overview of how you approached your workshop when we asked you to join our Block by Block program? How'd you get into it?
I was very, very excited. So one of my personal goals for my yoga is that I really wanted to bring this to people of color, but especially younger people of color, because I feel like we're underrepresented in the yoga community. So I wanted to do something that I felt like would be kind of a basic yoga 101, but also would be something that would challenge them a little bit, but also be fun so they could see that they were able to do all of these things that maybe they didn't think they could do.
I folded my body in, first my knees touching the soft dirt around me. The same knees I dealt with bruises, scrapes, and scars to this day. My toes curled, digging, reminding me of the calluses I would get from dancing my heart out. Breathe in, breathe out. My stomach rested on my thighs. A comfort feeling of being in my mother's womb all over again. This seemed to make the pain go away. Our physical aches and ails were behind me now, almost as if this pose was the cure-all. Breathe in, breathe out. My back stretched forward, a spine inside used to hold my body up. My forehead gently relaxed on my knees. My nose fitted between the meat of my thighs. My arms spread out in front of me in two straight lines, fingers planted into the soil. Breathe in, breathe out. Connecting to Mother Earth, becoming one with nature like the trees and plants around me. A born-again child reminiscing of my youth. Breathe in, breathe out.
In the sessions right before, our young people were talking about anxiety, especially in this really crazy year where you can't see friends and family. Can you talk a little bit about the mantra that you gave us that day? If you remember, it was, it's okay, I remember. It was, I'm okay with being okay.
Oh, yes.
Can you talk
about
one of my
favorites.
Yeah, why is that contentment so important?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm glad you remember it because I did not. I feel like it's so important because I feel like we live in a society that does what we call toxic positivity, right? That you're supposed to always either be like on this super high and everything's great and you're supposed to put on this brave face for the world all the time. And that's just not where you are. And that's literally just okay.
Yeah.
And like finding the space of being okay with wherever you are is like kind of the key element to gratitude, but like that space of being content. So like contentment starts on the inside. Happiness sometimes is derived from something that's on the outside of us, but contentment is like an inner thing where you're kind of like, I'm just all right with where I am right now. It doesn't mean that I'm not striving for more or maybe I desire more, but what's important to me right now is that I'm all right where I am.
How about y'all introduce yourselves and how long you've lived here in Savannah?
My name is Mark Bowen. I've been living in Savannah for 4 years, but I've been coming here my whole life. My parents are both from West Savannah, and my family's been in Chatham County since before 1750.
My name is Tasha, and I have been in Savannah for about 5 years now. I'm originally from Jamaica, actually a town named Savannah in Jamaica, but I've been here 5 years.
And y'all are Wandering Roots. So I wanted to ask, they'll have an official bio, I'm sure, but I wanted to ask, what is Wandering Roots to you personally?
I think Wandering Roots started out of our work in self-healing. We realized from our conversations that so much of our personal struggles were very similar, and the things that we use to heal and inform our own journeys, we felt like it would be meaningful to have these same offerings to the community. And so it really kind of came out of our building a relationship out of mutual healing and respect for our journeys.
Absolutely, and building on what Tasha's saying, so we focus on building ancestral healing gardens is a big part of our work, and so communing with ancestors, doing work that's based in the earth has been part of our healing journey. So that's how it all comes together when Tasha talks about like it's what we want to share and how we heal.
So so it's raining a little bit, but so we have a garden that we've been taking care of for most of the year. We're actually in the garden right now. But I wanted to ask, what are some of the plants that we've grown, and was there like similar? What was our purpose in growing them?
Yeah, so right behind us we have some summer squash, and I really like the symbolism of squashes and vining plants in general. You can see that they take up so much space, right? They are so abundant in the way that they grow. And they are really a plant that's been around and grown in North America for a really long time. They are part of what's known as the Three Sisters. And indigenous North Americans grew squash with corns and beans as a way to nurture their bodies, but also to care for the earth. Those three plants grown together offer the earth nutrients in addition to offering our bodies nutrients. And so choosing to grow this plant was to honor our relationship with the earth and kind of give back to the land as we're taking from it, and also to embody this energy of expansion and support. Vining plants really, they spread out and they take up space, and I think it's important for us to learn how to do that.
So can you tell us a little bit about what Block by Block Youth did in our workshops this year?
Yeah, so in our past years, we kind of had a whole cycle where Block by Block would show up, and then we would immediately get things inside of a garden. It was like fall time, and so we would like grow those foods, and then by the time Christmas showed up, it was like time for a collective meal. And then we would start and go into the spring after winter break and get more into like making teas and making different products from herbs. But with COVID, we had to shift things up a whole lot this year. So we've always had a message in our work around anti-capitalism, anti-patriarchy, anti-oppression in general. So what we ended up doing a lot this year is bringing those themes forward even more and intersecting that with food justice work. So for example, we would talk about capitalism, right? But what does capitalism look like in the food system, right? We would look at patriarchy. We would look at what does patriarchy look like in the food system.
So what do you hope that the young people here at Block by Block take away from the process of tending to their own garden and being that in tune with the earth?
I hope that they are reminded of their potential to care for themselves and their community. I think capitalism is something that often robs us of our capacity to show up for ourselves and our communities. And I want them to remember from our time together that as long as we are intentional about caring for ourselves and our loved ones, we can really deal with most of the things that come to us, right? Intention is really a big part of our work, and I hope that intention, they're able to move forward with life with that intention and do meaningful work.
Green for the viridescent vines, giving an aquamarine sheen to our beautiful black bodies. Red for the blood that was shed on the motherland, sowing seeds that begat strong trees that became we's, and then us's, and then me's. Our roots run deep. So deep that when we first meet, we can greet each other like family. All black people know each other. Damn straight I feel for anyone who's the same color as me. I feel the pale moonlight glistening on my skin. Maybe it's a touch from my not so distant kin, pulling me back, telling me I need to look within, that I need not forget how much they struggled to win, so that I can be here today and stay where I want to stay and lay where I want to lay. Dimmed over and over again, it almost feels like we're put out. But just like a trick candle, there's still one more spark left to sprout, taking us out of this hole and showing us something new. But the newness of it all is still too much to chew, or else we'll choke. The grandness of our plans can blind us like a screen of smoke. Change is steady. Patience. If we rush now, we'll only hear people say shit like, why you still mad? Or that was hundreds of years ago. But the way I see it now, we're still smitten with the same foe. Our beautiful black bodies brutally burned to a crisp. They told us our scars are beautiful, because they are. But scars are still scars, marking Mars on our skin that tell us on the outside that we're damaged within. We practiced magics to hold it all in, but instead we were labeled dirty niggers that dared to sin. I despise the cruel lies fed to us about the massacres of our people. We were slaughtered, brutalized, gaslit into forgetting it like sheeple. It's 2021. It's in the past. Those are phrases that would only work if this shit didn't last. If I didn't see people that could be in my class as the faces of funerals.
My name is Ariel Felton, and I am a teaching artist for Block by Block. And I would like for my interviewees to introduce themselves.
Good morning. I am Bernetta Lanier. I am a resident of this community here on Hudson Hill, and I also sit on Savannah City Council for the 1st District.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Deirdre Grimm. I am the CEO of Ivory Bay Community Development Corporation, which this lovely woman here founded.
And speaking of Ivory Bay, they are the reason that we were able to get our young people out in this garden in Hudson Hill this year. So I'd like to ask my first question, can you tell me how Ivory Bay started? What was the genesis for this awesome organization?
Well, we are multi-generational people who live here in this community. I'm a 4th generation resident. So we basically inherited a certain activism that our parents started based on inequities and city services. Mm-hmm. And behind that, after inheriting a certain advocacy, our issues were different. Our issues were about growth and development, were about industrial intrusion, commercial intrusion, and land issues, zoning issues. And therefore, we needed to organize differently, other than just a neighborhood association, but we needed to organize to conduct community business and corporate business. So we took on the form of a community development corporation, a CDC, so we could have collaborative partners and get a lot more civic and services and resources in these communities.
And why a community garden? What is the importance of a community having a garden like this, like next door, where they can just come and have all these veggies?
Yeah, so one of the issues that is prevalent now in the communities is the food inequity piece, the food apartheid. And I'm so glad that now my advocacy has led me to be elected to represent the entire 1st District based on me being outspoken about issues and just focusing more on building wealth, health and wealth in these low wealth communities by using asset-based economic development. So after I became elected, then I had to take off the hat of the founder and CEO and put on the hat of the older person that supports this work. And I passed the baton of the leadership of this organization to Dr. Grimm.
Okay, all right. And this question will be for both of you. When did you, or what's your first memory of working with the land, putting your hands in the dirt and realizing how important that was going to be for you all?
Oh, wow, that is so basic to my nature because I'm an earth sign. And growing up here when it had more of a rural feel in the community, and we were people who ate from the land, and our meals came from garden, and every home just about had a garden, and we shared produce, and so that is our heritage. And of course, you know, this community morphed from a rice plantation to municipal farms, and then now to plots of land where people still to this day farm or have some kind of urban gardens around their homes. And so the earlier memories would be with the elders, and we're talking maybe back in the 60s, and these elders at that time were 80, 90, 100 years old, and they had us actively on a regular basis in the gardens, whatever it took to help in the garden. We had to do those things. That was part of our task. So we grew up with that involvement, with learning how to preserve and can or just treat vegetables and fruit. A lot of wild fruit was in the area, and so the children grew up just normally eating outside. So those are some of my earlier memories as just a staple in the house, just another piece of what's expected at a home, which was the garden, and just being in this wooded area, eating berries and plums and figs and scorpions and grapes. So you named it, blackberries. You know, we had it growing here, pears, and so we want to get back to that because we did get away from it somewhat. You know, we became more urbanized. So this new energy from our partners, from Dr. Grimm, and this partnership with the new energy, with the new generation being exposed to what is absolutely necessary. And when we have pandemics and when we have these type of issues that impact not only health but our economy, when people start paying more attention to those basic things like food security and local sourcing of food.
Right.
And so that right now that we need to educate more and share more and do more of this work and bring more partners to the table, because it's a sustainable way of living. It's just not about doing this for recreation or just for the lessons of it. We noticed that when we were able to offer the bounty of these gardens, this garden and other gardens throughout these neighborhoods, it made a difference in people's lives. It made a difference in their provision. It made a difference, you know, for the health of their families. So it's proven that it's the direction we need to continue to go in.
Right. I know this year we talked a lot about food deserts and in the ways that like certain neighborhoods, the fresh produce just isn't always available. It's not the easiest to get. So that makes me really happy that we've got a garden in a neighborhood. And Dr. Grimm, I'll pass it to you. What's your kind of first memories of working with the land, gardening?
So I grew up across the bridge in Charleston, South Carolina, in Orangeburg. And so I remember the days when my granny would be outside in the field and even ringing chickens to bring them in the house. And she had us, and it was no video games where you could just play all day. You know, we were outside pulling tomatoes, and I think the thing I hated most was shelling peas. And so she would have us shelling peas on a Sunday night, getting ready for, you know, dinner a Saturday night, getting ready for the next day. And I wanted to make sure that my kids had that experience, you know. I think a lot of things that we do are generational, even sometimes they fall off, but great leaders like Alderwoman Lanier and, you know, people like my mom have shown us how is a necessity that we are our own food source, right? This need, especially during the pandemic when you couldn't go to the grocery store and all the shelves were bare. It just laid out how exasperated our food systems are because we're dependent upon, you know, transit to get it here. And so I believe that we as a people, we grew up, you know, as Alderwoman Lanier said, on our own land, sourcing our own food, and being able to help provide a stable economy as well with partnerships with our farmers market and local farmers. And I think if we get back to the old ways of eating, it also creates a healthy system for us, you know, especially when we have seen that chronic illnesses befall neighborhoods as this because of the marginalization and redlining. And so, you know, building your immune system by eating some tomatoes, getting some antioxidants in your body, and looking at, you know, the lemons and how vitamin C helps decrease, you know, the likelihood of you getting COVID-19, and that has been a proven study. So I was excited about this partnership just in gardening period, and actually prior to the pandemic we had been partnering because this is a system, a network of gardens. We have been partnering with some local community leaders to do this work outside of here, and so we're just ecstatic about the expansion and looking for what we're going to do next.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited that our Deep Youth got to have a hand in this. I know we talked a lot about, you know, the health issues that we saw in our families and in our communities, and so our garden that we planted here is really intentional. The stuff that we planted was, you know, veggies and fruits that we thought would help combat some of these health issues. So finally, I'll ask something that we've been asking to everyone since our theme for this year was health. This is really basic, but what does health mean to you? When you think about health, whether that's mental, physical, spiritual, you know, what does health mean to you?
at the base of everything we do is our health. You know, everything else is contingent upon us being healthy. Healthiness is connected to our prosperity. Health and wealth is connected. So if you're not healthy, you really are unable to be physically active, and it's going to take, that's the base right here. Just make sure when this house right here is in order, then now you can get your home in order, your community in order, and it just resonates from there. But health definitely is connected to our wealth. I think we need to look at all of our policy initiatives through a public health lens. And it's proven that when people are prosperous, they usually have more access to healthy foods. So we want to reverse that a little bit and make sure that the health isn't contingent upon the wealth. We want to make sure that low wealth individuals, we want to make sure that marginalized neighborhoods have access also to the healthy foods. And the trend has been, we were probably at that level and we went away from it. So we're trying to regain, we're trying to reimagine, we're trying to recapture our understanding of food. You know, even back to the transatlantic slave trade, people were brought based on their acumen of agriculture. You know, certain enslaved people were enslaved and sent and purchased and sent places where their skill sets, their expertise were needed. And so there was agricultural society, so those skill sets still remain in our people, but we got away from it. We lost a lot when we transitioned to more urban environments, but now we are figuring out ways that we could have urban farmers, you know, that we could mesh that heritage, that innate understanding of food, that relationship we have with growing food, and we need to maintain that and transition into what we're doing today, maybe when we have the different type of aquaponics type growing, there's different things we could do now. But we understand that if we're not healthy in terms of nourishment and nutrition, then we're going to be unable to meet the other goals of building sustainable and generational wealth.
Right. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
That's it. You summed it up.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Grimm, what does health mean to you?
So, as Alderwoman Lanier stated, health is at the basis of all things, right? I think the issue is everyone talks about the wealth gap, but there's also a health gap, right? People in low wealth neighborhoods usually have shorter life expectancy rates as opposed to those in more affluent areas. And so I think initiatives like Health in All Policies, putting health at the forefront of all policies, studying to see what the outcomes are, is something that I know that she's embracing, but we want to make sure our elected officials continue to do so. I just think it's very critical because it's very telling how many people in these communities died due to COVID as opposed to those who had better access. And so, needless to say, I believe that if I'm not healthy, my children aren't healthy, right? And if she's not healthy, the community isn't healthy. So we have to make sure that we are creating and cultivating a community of health that's not just focused on eating, but also on economic health, justice health, you know, just looking at how all things are a public health issue. You know, the way that Black and brown people are arrested at higher rates than their counterparts. I think that also speaks to when people go into the prison system, how they come out mentally unhealthy, right? And so, you know, we're just creating a cycle that if we don't do something about it now through legislation and through programs such as the Garden and, you know, stuff that DEEP is working on with the school to prison pipeline, we will continue to be on that same wheel of insanity. So just to sum it up, if I think if I'm not good, you're not good. If he's not good, then the whole community is not good. So we have to make sure that those who are most vulnerable are lifted up, and when they are lifted up, everyone else is lifted up as a result.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just wanted to thank you guys again for this partnership, and I really hope it can continue, right? That we'll bring young people back here next year and maybe have even more beds. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Of course.